video? I am. Alright, let's go live here. We are going live for some rugby league and we're good to go. Hey guys, how you going? To the BK Sport. It is a hectic time right now. We are absolutely smacking content out for the Rugby League World Cup. It is an exciting time. Obviously, we get to see all the nations across the world who love their rugby league come together, and we get to watch on as hopefully we'll see. Well, no, I'm not going to say. No, I'm not going to say what I was about to say. But we're going to see a champion, and it'll be interesting to see who it is because there are a few teams. There are a lot of things going on right now. For if you are watching all the games. It is pretty hectic, you know. Is Australia going to win it? Is England going to win it? What's New Zealand doing? Because they struggled with Lebanon. Lebanon, that was sneaky. Fiji, they were pretty good. Who else is there that we haven't really spoken about yet? Tonga haven't even played yet. They have Papua New Guinea. Obviously, we're going to be streaming that game tomorrow. Guys, you've got to be here at 4 a.m. AEST or 5 a.m. Muppet time in New South Wales / Victoria. You've got to be here. That's going to be a huge game between Tonga and Papua New Guinea. I'm really looking forward to that one. So yeah, be here with that. Yeah, it's just an exciting time. I love World Cups because just the genuine vibe around everyone is just really pumping and really exciting. But today, guys, we're going to be having a pretty good video. It's not going to be us really talking about what's going on right now. We're going to be talking to you guys in the chat, but we're also going to be discussing who we believe is the most passionate country when it comes to rugby league. Now, we've got this over here. I'm going to switch this one over this side so you can see what we're talking about. So I've got, obviously, die for their country. Which one of these countries literally has die for Tonga in the name. It has die for in their name. And then you got Crazy for Rugby League, who is not quite, I'm not going to go and, murder someone if my team loses. Not quite that, but still crazy for Rugby League. We'll keep an eye on the scores. So it's like they care, but they don't care. Which is, this is what you would call the casual fan, right? They really do, they enjoy the sport, but they're not willing to get up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning kind of deal. They're not willing to kind of put in the hours like we do to watch the game. You got World Cup is on, cool. You know, it's like, okay, they're not going to go and look at the scores, but it's on. Fair enough, you know, go France, go England, that's what that is. And then could not care less is obviously they just don't know about the sport and it's not really a big thing in that country. So obviously this is going to be very, it's not really perspective based actually, to be completely honest with you. It's pretty obvious which countries do care and which countries don't really kind of care too much because there's other sports that are more of a priority, I guess. But yeah, overall I think this will be a fun video because we've got some interesting ones here. We've got some interesting ones like Australia, where some people, I don't know, I can't believe that's voted top one there. I think it's because you Aussies out there, obviously I'm Aussie, but like you Aussies are backing in your country, which is fair enough, you know, but for me, they're not going to be the highest, that's for sure. It's crazy to me that Australia is top in that poll. But in the same sense, we do love our rugby league. But guys, obviously hit that thumbs up button, smack it, just smack the thumbs up button, subscribe if you are new around here. Like I said, we will be here 4 a.m. tomorrow morning for Tonga versus Papua New Guinea. And let's get into the chat, let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see what you guys are saying. Tigers fans said Australia's winning the poll, but I wouldn't say we're the most passionate. Like some Australians celebrated when Tonga defeated us because it was good for the world game. Well, exactly right, and we will weigh that in. We will weigh that in today's video. We'll probably be here for about an hour as we go through all this. We will weigh that in. The fact of the matter is that Australians do obviously care at the game, but there is a lot of people who are like, well, we want to see the game grow. So Australia losing, they've won 8 of the last 9 World Cups. Some Australians are like, you know, and I keep saying this in streams. Well, we'll get into that in a bit. We'll get to that a bit, but I agree with you. I understand what you're saying. Melvin says hi, hello mate. Cocomelon Rules says hi. Get my name Mouse says hello, Mr. Streamer. Joey Tiger says something about Lebanon. Lebanon should be up there. We'll get into it. Obviously, you've got to weigh in a few contextual factors with Lebanon too. A lot of their audience is obviously in Sydney and in Australia. People, you know, we'll talk about Lebanon, but it's not necessarily too high, but they definitely do care about it. Malcolm says, damn, you work early, that's when I go to bed. Dasman says, at work at 4 a.m. You don't work, mate. Get out of here. You wish you were. You're a Bulldogs fan, mate. You're too busy throwing bloody water bottles on the field and kicking plastic chairs. Cocomelon Rules says, damn, at school when my team Tonga plays. At school? What? School? The game starts at 4:30 a.m. AEST, 5:30 a.m. Muppet time, Sydney / Victoria, 6:30 a.m. in Fiji, and then 7:30 a.m. New Zealand / Tonga. Like, where are you? Like, 'cause I don't know what school starts before that game starts. That's crazy. Theophilus Sogoromo says, I'll just say this here, people die over Rugby League and PNG. Well, we will get to Papua New Guinea, man, don't you worry. We will get to Papua New Guinea, but you've also got to remember that there is 2 nations here that There is 2 nations here that will be in dive for their country. I think we all know who it's going to be. I don't see more than 2 in dive for their country. I don't see more than 2 off the top of my head. Brian Robert says, North of the Border fans, only please, we don't need to add the Muppets. I don't know what we're talking about here in regards to North of the Border fans. Oh, North of the Border fans only, please. We don't need to add the Muppets. Oh, he's talking about New South Wales. Fair enough, they are Muppets. They are Muppets. Let's come on, guys. Even if you're New South Wales, you can admit it. Come on, you guys are not good at rugby league. Come on, man. Don't disrespect the champions. Sam Potter says, what I'll say, Australia is most passionate about rugby league. When it comes to supporting the country, they ain't too passionate about it like Samoa and Tonga, etc. We'll get into it. I do have my words to say about Australia. Andrew Turs says go Lebanon. Get my something now says 4 a.m. Oh, geez, he's already gone. 4 a.m. Muppet time, 5 a.m. non-Muppet time. That's not true. That's actually incorrect. Can you please stop lying to the audience, please? We all know that New South Wales are the Muppets here. Don't disrespect your current champions. We are here. We are your daddy. Queensland, it's like Drumlua, right? You know, you got to stop us. You guys stop us, but guess what? Guess who's your daddy? That is us. Thank you very much for coming. Muppet time. What says, let's go Tonga. Joseph says, for sure, Tonga is first. It's not as easy as that. Cocomelon Rule says, at New Zealand, win or lose, Tonga still celebrate hard. I literally saw a person dancing on the roof of their car while the car was moving. Hey, I've done that before. I did that before when Man City won, when I saw them win in Melbourne. But everyone was really, really drunk. Andy says, big ass for you Lebanese. Do I look Lebanese, bro? Do I sound Lebanese? Wait, where? So we've had people assume that I'm English before. We had someone think that I was a Kiwi. I think someone thought that I was French because I say France as a joke. Like, so I don't actually say France, like France. Like, it is France, but I say that as a bit of a joke. But now, I'm not only am I English, I'm Kiwi, and I'm just waiting for someone to call me Rastafarian at this point. You know, someone call me Jamaican. You know, good man. You know, but apparently I'm also Lebanese. Gilwise something now says you're 3 nearly 6. He is. Yeah. Congrats on 20k, mate. Appreciate your splash. Dave mate's getting a bit loose tonight, Jay. Minecraft says Matama'a Tonga literally means die for Tonga. Yeah, no, I said that. Yeah, I know what that means. That's why I've got die for the country up there. Like, that's literally it. Flex Sources should add USA. Oh, that's cool. I forgot that they were playing in this World Cup. But they're not is the answer to that one. They're not. Getting a lot of comments about South Africa recently on streams, which is interesting. South Africa do have a team. They do. But they got absolutely slaughtered by the Cook Islands. A Cook Islands team that didn't have any of their NRL talent in it, mind you. And they won 60-6 Cook Islands over South Africa in a qualifier. Right? So, and then I think South Africa had to play... No, sorry. Cook Islands then had to play like USA, and then Cook Islands won over USA, I believe. So South Africa do have a team, guys. It's not like we're withholding them. They are a team, but it's just unfortunately South Africa aren't good because... for a long period in their history, the sport of rugby league was banned back in the 1980s and whatnot, and then I think that up until the 1990s, and then rugby union went bang because obviously they won the World Cup, and then obviously can't get there from there. We'll do a couple more comments here, and then we will go into the chat here. We'll go into the rankings. Biggie Shacks, I think New Zealand would be more passionate if not for rugby union being the national sport. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. What says Tongas are literally partying on Otahuhu right now. I hope I pronounced that right. Otahuhu. That's not going to be how you pronounce it. Otahuhu. He's also Indian. Have I been called Indian before, have I? Yeah, probably. But alrighty, guys. Yeah, Jay says hit that like button and subscribe and talk to the chat. It's not hard to do it. It's not exactly right. It's not hard. We're smacking it right now. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and let's get into it. So the first team here is the Australians. We've got the I'm sorry, I read a comment there saying hoo ho mahi. Dear me. He's probably saying something bad to me. Yes, Joseph, I'm Indian. Starleo says, hey man, kind of unrelated, but I'm loving the support given to Greece, especially as my cousin is the captain, Jordan Mead, so I feel attached to them. Yeah, they played well today, man. They played really, really well. I'd say they were the closest out of any other team who lost. I'd say they were really, really close. I really enjoyed watching Greece. But let's get into it. We're getting distracted here. We're going to do a power rankings on Thursday night. No, sorry, we'll do it on Thursday night because there'll be no game on Friday, so I can react and do a power rankings of all the teams after week 1 on Thursday night, so we can talk about that then. The Kangaroos. All right, so obviously Australia is the biggest rugby league nation in the world. I can definitely speak on behalf of Australia because I am Australian. This is a very, very difficult one to read here. These are going to be in order, but the reason why this is a difficult one to read is because although Australians are incredibly passionate about this sport, they also we're a country built on supporting the underdog, right? And they're a country supported on wanting a team that's not expected to win. Now, Australia have won 8 of the last 9 World Cups. Most people continuously say that they would rather a team like Tonga, a team like Samoa, Fiji, Papua New Guinea to win the World Cup because it's better for the game. Not necessarily New Zealand. If you want New Zealand to win and you're Australian, you're a Muppet. If you want England to win and you're Australian, you're a Muppet. I don't care about you, you're a Muppet. But if you're saying like Samoa, Tonga, Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Cook Islands, the likes, makes sense because it does obviously grow the game. But I guess that does detract away from the die for the country. Also, there's no Australians going to die for the country, right? In regards to rugby league, yeah, we're known as some of the best, battlers in the world when it comes to war. But when it comes to rugby league, I think that we're going to go for crazy for rugby league because we are crazy for rugby league. We love it. You go to Queensland, New South Wales, we're obsessed. We are obsessed. But because of the fact that it might be low here, it might be low comparatively to other teams, simply because a lot of Australians want to see another team win. So they'll watch it, they'll love it, most people will get behind it, but they're not going to be on that same level as a couple of other nations that you guys know are going to be up there. Zemo says I will, and Zemo says I will. Yeah, you were a Bulldogs fan. You guys are literally known for that shit, eh? You guys are literally known for that shit. Bloody Muppets, man. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. Joseph plays the World Cup final, Australia vs Tonga. I don't necessarily mind it, but we'll see, because obviously we've got to go through tomorrow first, where Papua New Guinea, they would get a sneaky win. I'm just throwing it out there. It's not crazy. Coca-Cola rules of New South Wales Muppet. We all know that. That's obvious. Yeah, New South Wales are Muppets. Big Shakes is for Australia, high tier. Well, it's definitely a high tier. Like, it's not going to be, we'll keep an eye on scores. That would be stupid. Like, that would be silly to put anyone down like here. We are definitely crazy for our rugby league, but there is just a lot of context involved that obviously makes it a little bit confusing in regards to putting in the big top one because there are other countries out there who, they will just, they're full on. When I say die for the country, I'm not literally meaning die, but in the same sense, there is one country here where violence is quite large when their team loses. So I just want to throw that out there. Maybe that's why they don't get a rugby league team. Everybody says, I can't get used to the time zones, though it is confusing still. That's why you shouldn't be on Muppet time. Coca-Cola Rule says, would you go to England and watch the grand final? No, I'm not going to England to watch the final. Josh Rivera says, when does the Tonga PNG start? 4 a.m. Okuha says, Tonga has the most passionate supporters hands down. We have all have seen it at the Red Sea. Great, we're not at Tonga yet. We'll do Tonga soon, guys. Obviously, let's try and keep it about Australia for now. We're going to go through each team, so we'll get to the Tongans at some point. McKenna Gina says, Australia are more passionate about their state. That's absolutely true. If this is about Queensland, New South Wales, you go there. Like, if you go about their state, or if you go about, like, other factions of rugby league, even NRL and just their city and whatnot, you put them at the top. But when it comes to internationals, I think definitely you put them in crazy for rugby league because this is also a comparison, right? So there are teams that are above them, and there definitely are teams that are below them. It's a comparison rather than this is just straight up. Like, if we were taking out 2 teams here, then they would go up to the top tier, but comparatively, they're not on that level, as you guys can obviously see in the chat from many people talking about it. But yeah, Queensland, New South Wales is a bit different story. KP, we'll do most passionate NRL fan base probably in February of next year. Just someone remind me, please. Someone remind me in February next year to do a stream where we do this for NRL. Splash says, imagine if the Tongan C was at the World Cup, right? Okay, get these ones when the Tonga are on. Get when these are on Tonga. Who is that in the background? What do you mean, who is what in the background? What are you talking about? Who is what in the background? That's Old Trafford, the old toilet for the Rugby League World Cup final. Food and life is such a beautiful thing, don't you think? Yeah, Splash. Random, but yeah, it's great. Copper says, Origin is far better than international league games, but that's just me. See, that's the thing, right? And that's what we've got to stop doing. We need to start caring more about the international game, but we're not going to care more about the international game until there is teams that can compete with us on a serious level. England haven't proven shit yet. They've never won a World Cup, it's one game, and Samoa, they told me more about them than about England. They haven't proven shit yet. New Zealand are the only ones that always compete with us, but we still usually beat them besides 2008, right? No one has really seriously put on a competitive level edge over Australia, and that's what we need to see for Origin to take a bit of a step back, because then the country pride will come back out. Because I guarantee you, if Australia don't win this World Cup, everyone says, oh, I want another team to win it. Until it happens, and I say this all the time to you guys, until it happens, everyone always says, I want another team to win. But when it happens, you won't, because you're going to be laughed at and poke fun at for the next 3 years by a New Zealand or an England. right? So just be careful what you wish for. Even Tongans will laugh at you too. They'll say we're better than Australia. Like, just get used to, get ready for it. Get ready for it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Here we go. Jasper said if the Wallabies win the World Cup, it would mean so much more than the Kangaroos. Of course, because we haven't won it since 1999. Yes, 1999, the year before, the World Cup before Sydney. All right, so Australia goes in crazy for rugby league. Next up here, we'll go to Cook Islands. This is a hard one because I don't really know a great deal. I would assume they're on a similar level to Samoa and Tonga and stuff like that, but they're obviously nowhere near the likes of Tonga. And I don't know if I can put them on the same level here as the Kangaroos. This is a really difficult one because it's like, I think that they'd probably... I think maybe they'd put it here or here. I honestly think it could be like here. I think maybe because they're still an Islander team, you'd probably put them in the mid-tier and we'll keep an eye on the scores. But I don't think they're definitely not as loud as Tongans and Samoans and Fiji, or maybe not Fiji, but Samoans and Tongans. They're not as loud as them. And I don't think that I can put them on a higher level. If that's wrong, feel free to let me know in the chat. But for me, I don't see enough of them. And I think that maybe because their country is still an emerging nation, we don't hear much about them because we know that they're not that great, right? So a lot of the people who are supporting them know they're not that fantastic, so they're not going to come out and be overexerted of how much they love their team, which is a thing. It is a thing with sport worldwide, man. McKenna says World Cup is on, cool. Oh, I think Cook Islands will care more than that. I think they'll care more. There is definitely a team that's going to be in World Cup is on, cool, and could not care less. Don't worry, there'll be a team in every single one. On these tier lists, guys, I make sure that there is at least one in every single tier. Sally says, Cook Islands is so small, it's hard to grasp how passionate their fans are. Yeah, absolutely. And the Cook Islands, they actually have some good talent. Valentine Holmes is a cookie. He could be playing for them. There's a couple of guys from Australia and New Zealand that could be Cook Island talent. I still don't think they're I still think they're a good 15, 20 years away from being a legitimate team. Honestly, I truly do. I think they're still 15, 20 years away from being a good team. But they're an emerging nation. So I'm excited to see what the Cook Islands can do. But I think we're going to put them in. We'll keep an eye on the scores. McKenna says, if you ask the random Cook Island if they're 1 or 13, they'd give you 1 or 2 max. Yeah, that's a shout. It's a shout. High end of keep on the scores. I think it's going to be at least this because I do think McKenna. I do think that they would still keep an eye on the scores, man. I do. Like this one is more for they know the World Cup is on. They might keep somewhat of an eye on it, but they're not really going to give a shit. This one is like they're still going to see what the score is of the Cook Island team, and I think that most people there. Let's be honest, it's island life, right? So when your team is playing, it's like Fiji. You want to still see that your team's doing well, or you want to still see what's happening. So, although, yes, you're right, I guess that proves that they're in the middle tier, it does show that they still probably would have some form of care factor about the World Cup. Big Shaq, so I think the other thing that holds them back is that in comparison to other nations, their fan base is fairly small. Absolutely. It's a population stuff. But anyway, let's move on to the next one here, and let's go to England. Now, this is a tough one as well, because obviously it's not the main sport in the country. Their main sport is football. They probably prefer rugby union as well. You've seen the crowds. They're not that great. The crowds are not that great. I think that we're probably going to put them... I think they're going to be put there. I think England would be top end and we'll keep an eye on the scores. I don't think as a contender... I actually think that you could argue it here. I could make an argument the World Cup is on cool. I would say World Cup is on cool. I think that people will know that it's on. But I just don't think overall that many people give a shit. It's like, if England win, they'll still not really care. They'll be like, okay, we're the best at something we don't care about. But, prove me wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Same place as second tier only because they're hosting it. If they weren't hosting it, they'd be third or fourth tier. But then what does that mean? Because the hosting of it, no one's turning up for the games. Have you seen the crowds? No one's turning up for the games. No one's turning up for the games. So, okay, the prices are expensive, apparently, but there's no one going to the game. So, they're hosting it, and yet no one still cares really about it. I don't know. I just don't get a good vibe about... there are people... Guys, in every single country here, you're going to see some people here, some people here, some people here, but we're looking at the majority. And I think the majority of England is World Cup is on cool. I think the majority would be like that. Sebastian Grummer says, in my experience, compared to football, union and cricket, the English will definitely keep an eye on the score, but they won't go crazy for it. In the first game, moderate levels of excitement. Yeah, maybe the Samoa. I think if Australia play when Australia plays England in the final, maybe people will care a bit more because of the Australian England rivalry in all sport. But I think that overall, no one's caring about the group stages, and I don't think many people will give too much shit. I guarantee a lot of English probably don't even know Tonga. You know what I'm saying? Like, or they will know of them, but they wouldn't know anything about the rugby league and how good they are. And yeah, and well, how good they are. We haven't seen them play yet. I think the interest around England will be as good as they play. Yeah, that's a good call. And which is, I guess, it does suit this tier. Salias, if you were to only single out, let's go here. If you only single out Northern England, then they are pretty passionate for league. But in the South, nobody gives a shit or may not even know what league is. Well, they would know what league is. They would know what league is, but they wouldn't. They would definitely. South of England here, north of England, maybe here. South of England here, north of England maybe here. I think this is relatively fair, but we're going to comment from an English. I think James Riley's English. James Riley says, honestly, mate, for England, I think the northern towns represented by Super League teams are more like crazy for rugby league, but everywhere else in England could not care less. That's exactly what I just said. That's literally exactly what I just said. I'm happy to put this here. This is obviously a bit more of my tier list, and then you guys are commenting alongside me. I'm happy to put them there. Dennis is great. I was a bench shootouts. Yeah, absolutely. Dan says, I think it doesn't help that there's football and rugby union at the same time for the World Cup. Yes, absolutely. And especially when, you've got the Premier League, you've got the Championship, you've got League 1, League 2, you've got all different tiers. You've got people preparing for the FIFA World Cup right now. If this was last year, when it was meant to be, maybe people would care a bit more. But right now, I'm starting to get that FIFA World Cup vibe as well. Because the FIFA World Cup starts 2 days after the Rugby League World Cup finishes. So maybe that's another thing as well that really emphasises how much people just aren't really too much about rugby league in that country. David says the Palmers would care more about football or union or maybe even cricket. All three of them. Sebastian says it's also the north-south divide. People caring the north and south really knows what league is. Yep. Shelby says England kind of surprising when it comes to rugby league. There are some people who don't care about it at all, and there are others who low-key love it. Apparently, Roy Keane's a big rugby league fan. Well, Roy Keane's north, right? So Roy Keane's north. Punks Brass, if Cook Islands' best players played for them instead of Oz or New Zealand, they'd be exactly like the Tongans. Oh no, they wouldn't. No, bro. They're the vibes, people, and culture. It will transfer to sports. Oh, in regards to the fans. In regards to the fans, maybe. Yeah, maybe in regards to the fans, not in regards to the team. The team still... I've seen the players that could play for Cook Islands still lacking a lot. But in the same sense, the fans, yeah, it's a cruisy culture. I know about the culture a little bit, the vibe. It would be very similar in the islands. It's island life, man. If Fiji was better, they'd probably... Oh, maybe not. They only really care about sevens. But I know what you're saying. In regards to the fans, but in regards to the team, I still think they'd struggle overall. They're still about 15, 20 years away from being a genuinely competitive team. But I think we move on now. I think we... one second. Kate says, do you reckon the US will enter the Rugby League World Cup due to the growing interest of rugby? They could have. They didn't qualify. The USA won the last World Cup. They're shocking. They're terrible. And also, I just want to throw this out there. This growing interest of rugby in America, I think, is a myth. Because their NARL... I've been waiting for it. It is a shambles. I'm just throwing it out there. Waiting for that to happen. But, good luck. Good luck to you, man. Good luck to you, man. Not you, I'm just saying in regards to the NARL, because I want to create some content with that too, but I just can't because it's not ever on. Yeah, USA lost to Jamaica in the qualifiers. Yeah, exactly right. And I think that Cook Islands must have beat them too, or maybe, I don't know, Cook Islands beat South Africa, and I think South Africa had to play USA to play Jamaica, and then USA must have won that, I think, maybe. Explosives Rugby isn't popular in the USA. It is in Florida, in Jacksonville, but not really. You know what I'm saying? Like, in Jacksonville, Florida, it's a bit bigger, but overall, it's not popular. But alright, guys, let's move on to the next one here. And it's my boys, my Fiji Bati, Dosuviti. Chihoo! Let's go Dosuviti here, but we're going to put this one here. And this one isn't one that I'm willing to kind of move on because I know Fiji and I know what rugby league is in Fiji. People know about it. People like it. They enjoy it. It's still rugby, but it's not rugby union and it's not sevens. Even the Rugby Union World Cup, people watch Fiji and it would probably be put crazy for rugby union in him, maybe at the bottom end. If it was sevens, bang. If this was rugby sevens, you put Fiji at the top, easy. And it'd be top. But when it comes down to other sports, Fiji have a little bit of lacking belief in their team. And Fiji is a very big confidence country, right? They need to know their team is going to be good to care about the league, because otherwise they start supporting other teams. They'll start saying, I'll go for Tonga or Samoa or the likes, right? I think Fijians definitely do care. They're above and they're going to be the top of we'll keep an eye on scores, but they're not close to these other nations right now because they just do care so much about sevens and rugby, and rugby league is a little bit of a second thought, especially with the Fiji and Drua being added into the Super Rugby as well right now. That's another one. And also the fact that Fiji are a decent enough team in the Rugby Union World Cup. I'll put England in the middle tier. No, we'll put them there. We'll put them there for now. At least that, I think that's fine. That's where Database says NARL had one preseason game, wasn't even advertised. Starlings has probably got its pocket somewhere in the States. I think that shows for a country like Fiji how important seeing their team put in consistently great performances is. Like I said, man, Fiji are a very big confidence country. They need to see their team be doing well. Otherwise, they won't care. They will not get up. I guarantee not many Fijians will be getting up to watch the World Cup. There'll be some, like I said, there'll be some. But I guess when I say stuff like that, it is in between here and here. Fijians are very passionate about their country. They definitely do love their country, and they definitely do defend their country. But I just guarantee that realistically, you go speak to a Fijian in Nandi or Lautoka or Suva, and most people are going to say Jared Hayne. They're going to say maybe Wes Nguama, Kevin Nguama, Micah Siva, maybe Semi Radradra. But that Semi Radradra is because of the union as well. It's realistically going to be those five guys. But you go and say, and that'll be most people would know it. I think everyone knows Jared Hayne. But you go and say someone like Waisara Sarevi in Rugby Union, and oh boy, you say even Joshua Turisova in Rugby Union, who's playing right now over in France. They know that. They know everything about that. So that's why I've got Fiji here. I'm not willing to move on that. I think that's pretty spot on. Sash and Kelvin says they obviously care more about Union and Sevens, but I still see a few Fijians getting around this Rugby League World Cup. Of course, there's still going to be people getting around it. Of course. Puns Rice and Fiji's more Rugby Union than League? Yeah, absolutely. And more Sevens specifically. People forget the Union World Cup, it's not that huge. Like, it's not that massive in regards to Rugby Union 15s. The Sevens, everyone watches it. Everyone. Dabdo Goose's England strictly in the Yorkshire and Lancashire areas is pretty passionate. Outside that, not much at all. There you go. Yeah. McKenna Gino says, fun fact, Fiji and PNG are the only two island nations with semi-professional domestic competitions, so Fiji do put an effort into grow rugby league. They do. It is definitely semi-professional. PNG domestic would be a little bit better. Fiji do have a league, but I wouldn't recommend going and watching it, is what I would say there. But yeah, like they do. Like I said, that's what I'm saying. Like they're top end of all keeping an eye on the scores. And they've got the Kaiviti Silk Towels, who are in the New South Wales Cup now, just like PNG. Obviously, PNG and Fiji are very, very similar countries when it comes to a lot of factors, both Melanesian countries. And actually, they're the rivalry. Fiji and Papua New Guinea are the rivalry when it comes to those two nations. So I would love to see them play in the World Cup, but obviously we only got to see them mid-season, and Papua New Guinea always seem to have the stranglehold of Fiji as well. Trump says, I feel like the top line Fijian players are lacking in comparison to teams like Oz, New Zealand, Samoa and Tonga, which could detract from that personal connection.
Yeah, how'd Samoa go with that? With those top line Samoan players, how'd they go?
Dad Goose is probably getting with that question number one. We'll get to them, but it's not guaranteed. QFT says, Fiji has an unorthodox style of playing sevens and union, which can put off a lot of higher ranked teams, a lot like Lebanon have been in league, which showed the Kiwis game. Absolutely. I thought you were maybe one who commented on my stream today. But Fiji has an unorthodox style. They do, yeah, and that's why with Fiji they love kind of the, whoop, just throw the ball around kind of deal. Just run the ball as hard as you can, as fast as you can, but also throw it, and it's a bit of a hospital pass here, hospital pass there. It's all about just being very electric, and it doesn't always play out, and that's why rugby league you need to have a little bit more planned out. You need to have a little bit more structure in league comparatively to seven specifically, and then obviously union. But all right, let's move on to the next one here, which is going to be France. Now, I'm gonna put this one here. And the reason being is because they are incredibly passionate. I'm willing to move it between here and there, depending on what you guys say. But for me, I'd put them here because they're very passionate about football and they're very passionate about rugby union. They love union. The Rugby Union World Cup is in have the World Cup in 2025. But I don't know anything about anyone who actually gives a shit about rugby league in France. I think they could care even less than England, is what I would say there. So I'm going to put them in could not care less. I guarantee you ask someone about rugby league in France, and I guarantee they would not know the score. They would not know that France, I think they had a pretty good win the other night. Who did they play again? France. Oh, sorry, today. France beat Greece. Yes, they didn't play that well, though. They didn't play that well, but they'll take the win. But they played Greece today. I don't think that anyone in France would tell you that they knew that France was playing Greece today. I don't think so. Trail misses that is true, but I get what I'm saying is that it gets the fans from those nations more involved because they got that confidence. I agree. Biggie Shack says France bottom tier easy. Sebastian Grammer says compared to the English, the French care even less. That's why I would put England in keep an eye on the score and France in the second lowest tier. I just don't think anyone would know anything about rugby league in France. I think that they're so focused on union, and their team is very good in union. Obviously, they're one of the favourites to win the World Cup, if not the favourite to win the World Cup in rugby union. So they definitely do care more about that. I guess if they had a really, really solid rugby league team, maybe their care factor would rise dramatically. But for the time being, obviously, union's got a stranglehold there. And the way they're set up there with the Six Nations and whatnot, they get more rugby union action on a frequent level. And it's just a lot more professional in regards to rugby union. Saleh says, as a country as a whole, probably, that's fair. Sebastian Grammer says, people still turn up in decent numbers to Catalans and Toulouse games. Yeah, but it's a very minnow part of the country. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very, very minnow. Biggest Shaq says, France XV is so good. There you go. All right, so I think that's. I think we'll put them there, and I think we move on to the next one now, which is going to be who they played today, which was Greece, and I think that Greece is going to go. I don't know. It's definitely could not care less so. It's definitely not care less. Do they care? I think they probably care less than the French. James Riley says French domestic league is garbage. The only good team is Catalan Dragons, who compete in the Super League. Also Toulouse, who were just relegated from Super League this season. Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, like I said, I don't know a great deal about over there in regards to the French domestic league and whatnot. But all I know is that they just overall couldn't really care less a great deal. Jay Hayes is over 100 watching. Hit the like button, support the channel. Exactly right, guys. Smack that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you are new around here. You know, we're always here. We'll be here 4 a.m. tomorrow morning for Tonga versus Papua New Guinea. Should be awesome. Salia says nobody in Greece knows what rugby league is. It was illegal until not long ago. It was illegal up until 6 months ago. 6 months ago. We found that out this morning. It was illegal up until 6 months ago due to corruption, and then they were able to play, qualify, and here they are. And they played really well this morning. They played really, really well. I think it was Jordan Meads. Mujios had a really nice try at the end of the game. Lachlan Ilias was pretty decent. Yeah, it was a pretty fun game to watch. It was actually probably one of the more fun games to watch in the World Cup so far this morning between France and Greece. And it's funny considering they both could not care less. It's funny. But hey, the team is trying to start building something from nothing. Absolutely. Yeah, Greece, it could grow. I actually really back in Greece to grow. I do. I actually back in Greece to grow as a nation in rugby league. I think they could eventually be an emerging nation in the next 10 years. Yeah. Brian Roberts says a lot of Greeks live in Australia. It's going to be worth something for their rank. Yeah, but the Greeks in Australia more so care about the A-League and football still. You know what I'm saying? It's still more about A-League and football. Because they're all in Melbourne and they're like Victory or City or even Western Sydney for Wanderers or, you know. Now, it's weird that France is hosting the next World Cup. It is. It is very weird. It's very strange. I think that it should be Australia hosting alongside New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, maybe even Fiji, get a game at Super. But, you know, have one there, and then the next World Cup be England. Have it come back down under, and the next World Cup be France. Come back down under, then go to USA. It makes the most sense because it is obviously the most popular sport in this area, and it just makes sense. Taking it 2 times in a row away makes no sense at all. If you want to take it to South Africa, happy for it. But come back to Australia first, and Papua New Guinea and New Zealand, and then go over there. Sebastian Grammer says Greeks would be surprised to know they are in this World Cup if they ever found out. Yeah, like I said, you know, literally 6 months ago, this team was banned from playing rugby league. It was illegal in their country. Rams the Best says La Rem Kumura Fly. Look forward to that game tomorrow. Blunted Razor says nice to see Mujios play for Greece. Was in my high school year. Well, there you go. Sally says they are going for the Lebanon model of start with heritage players and try and grab attention in Greece and then have the public care. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, guys, when I say 10 to 15 years, I'm not disrespecting the country. This is just a realistic viewpoint, right? Cook Islands are probably not going to be a great team for another 15, 20 years. Greece aren't going to be a Cook Islands kind of team for a good 10, 15 years. right? You've got to really think in the long term, and that's not too long term. You know, if you put the right foundations in now, Greece can definitely be of a similar level to what Cook Islands are right now. Cook Islands will be a lot more improved by then, but right now, if Greece put in the right foundations, they can then progress to being like the Cook Islands are right now, is what I would say then. But yeah, it took Tonga a while, didn't it? Yeah, exactly right. You know, Tonga, they never really cared. I don't think they cared a great deal about rugby league, 10, 15 years ago. I don't think it was huge. It was only really, it started to get massive when you saw the likes of Andrew Fafita and Jason Tamalolo select to go there for the 2017 World Cup. Before then, Tonga weren't that great of a nation. Neither really were Samoa. This is the thing. It's starting to get a lot more competitive now. People are starting to say, oh, we're still seeing blowout scores in the Rugby League World Cup. I get that, but it's getting a lot more competitive because we're starting to see a lot more diversity and players selecting to go play for their country rather than playing for Australia because they were born and raised there, which is fine, but they're playing for their heritage roots and cultural roots. You can't have a go at guys like Jeremiah Nanai, Valentine Holmes, who grew up in Australia, born in Australia, whatnot, and playing for Australia, but you can also appreciate the guys who did still choose to go and play for Tonga or Samoa or Fiji or, the likes. But yeah, I think... I agree, McKenna. Tonga only cared up to 2017, but that's because they had a good team. And this is the thing. You give Greece a good team, they'll care. You give France a good team, they'll care. England is a bit different. It's a very big different because they've already got their really solidified foundation sports there. But next up here, we'll move on to the next one, which is going to be the Irish. Now, they're also going to be down around this area. I think that they're still probably going to be in a similar level to England. I might go here. I think the Irish should be on a lower level to England, personally. Or maybe bottom tier. I'm not sure. It's between here and here. I don't know a great deal about Ireland. I know where I'm going to put these guys, but Ireland are a bit of a tough one. Yeah, Ireland will be like the uni lads have lost weight. I think because their team is so good in rugby union, it's very difficult for them to support that league team. I'm going to put them at the bottom end of World Cup as on cool because I do feel like they would have some acknowledgement of the World Cup being on. I think that there would still... France, there's no acknowledgement. Greece, there's no acknowledgement. But Ireland, there is... I feel like there would be some acknowledgement to say, we're competing. It's cool. We're in the World Cup. Go for gold. That's the feeling that I get around the Irish, personally. Dab Dab Goo says France would be higher than Ireland. I think because France has 2 pro clubs, Ireland's none. Bang. Yeah, I agree. A lot of people are saying bottom tier, so I'll agree with you on that one. Like I said, guys, I have my opinions, but when I don't know much about something, I'll tell you, and I don't know much about that one. Slurven says they have got lacrosse and other national sports too. Yeah, obviously they've got Gaelic, they've got rugby union, they've got football, but football's shite in Ireland too. They're not great in football. Yeah, Bright Number says too drunk to care category. I think Alex is going to be a bit of Irish in him. Yeah, they've got a bit of too drunk to care. Yeah, look, I think we'll leave it there. I'm not going to talk too much about Ireland because obviously I don't know an unbelievable amount about what they care for in this sport. But yeah, I still feel like there'd be some acknowledgement, and I think there'd be some acknowledgement there. Yeah, there's a lot of competition for sports in Ireland. Yeah, there is. It's similar to Australia, but Australia's obviously on a larger scale, I guess. But Australia is a lot more of a sporting nation than any of these nations as well, in regards to the overall capacity of sports. But alright, let's move on to the next one here. And we'll go on to Italy. Now, Italy they've had a past where they've actually been not too bad, not too shabby, when they had James Tedesco. This team could not care less. I'm going to put them here. If people put them here, they've actually had some decent support in the past. But I also think it's World Cup, it's uncool. Now, they should actually care more because this is the only World Cup they're in. This is the only World Cup they're in this year. They're not in the FIFA World Cup. They're in the Rugby League World Cup. They're not in the Cricket World Cup. So they should actually probably care more about this sport than they do. But in the same sense, next year they're in Rugby Union. Rugby Union is a pretty popular sport it's not the craziest popular sport in Italy, but it's still a decently popular sport. I'm going to go in World Cup as uncool at the bottom end. And I'm pretty happy with that because I do know of support in Italy that do get behind the sport of rugby league. Big Papa says, Buller Blaze, so looking forward to tomorrow's game. Going to be a brutal one. Should be a fantastic one there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I am looking forward to that one. I just think that with Italy as well, like they're obviously very big football. Football, we all know that's going to be the case. And that's what most European nations are going to be like here. We've pretty much gone through all the European nations except for Scotland and Wales at this point, which is going to be, I think we all know what's going to go on there. The next one's going to be such a random one to do, actually. The next one is going to be so random to do. It's like it's pretty much dead, Sebastian, but I know the history they've had it in the past. Union gets audiences in the north of Italy League is pretty much dead. It pretty much is. But I know that there has been audiences in the past for Italy, and there has been factions of support that have tried to actually get a World Cup to go to Italy. But obviously it just hasn't happened because the game is so small there. But there are there would be at least an amount of people who would know that the World Cup is on, and they would have some factor of care for it, but it's not a great deal. And I think it actually would be a bit disrespectful to England. I'm going to put them there. I'll put them there. It'll be on the bottom tier, could not care less. It's not England level. It's not England level. No. It's not England level. Yeah. I'll go that far, because if we put them here, then we're putting them on the same level as England. I just don't see that being a thing. So I'll go could not care less, but they're definitely on the top end of it, based on the fact that there have been people in the past who have advocated for a Rugby League World Cup, and it just hasn't happened. Dad Goose, I think it would be fair to put England up one tier and put France up one. Okay, we'll do this, and then if I'm doing that, I'm doing this. No, we'll do this. We'll do that. We'll put England at the bottom of We'll Keep an Eye on the Scores. They're not going any higher than this, guys. They're not going any higher than that. I'm happy to put France with World Cup is on cool, and Italy will be top of could not care less. Zane Potter says Jamaica probably don't even know about the World Cup, to be honest. Disagree. Dad Goose, I think we'll be fair. That's right, we've got that one. Alright, well, let's move into Jamaica. Let's move into Jamaica here. Sebastian says that's perfect. Yeah, I think that's fine there. Alright, so we'll move into Jamaica, and this is incredibly difficult because I know that there has been a lot of coverage in Jamaica. I've done my research on this. There has been a lot of coverage in Jamaica about this Rugby League World Cup, that they have a team playing, first time ever. I think that eventually we'll have them here, but I think for now we're going to go here. And the only reason that we've got them here is because this is their first World Cup. They're now seeing Rugby League for what it is. It's not going to be a good one. We could see them here in the very near future. But I think for now, because it's their first time, they weren't actually terrible in that game. I know they lost to Ireland by a big score, but they weren't actually horrific in the game. I think I'm happy to put them at the bottom end of World Cup on cool, because they would definitely know, and they probably are going to keep an eye on the scores, but I don't think I'm happy to put them up in that area there. So I'll put them there. McKenna says, I was surprised they have the domestic competition. Credit to them. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Salas has no idea what Jamaica think about this World Cup. It's a hard one, but I have done research, and before this stream, I wanted to see, because obviously I would have had no idea where to put them otherwise. But there has been a lot of media coverage of this Jamaican team in their country. Dad, because there is a lot of Jamaican heritage players in England, I think there is a lot of growth potential. There is potential, because realistically, in Jamaica, they don't actually really care too much about football either. It actually is more about cricket and baseball. They love their West Indies, who haven't been great. I think they lost yesterday or today, the West Indies to Scotland, which is crazy cricket. But I think I'd be happy to put Jamaica in World Cup as cool, because they'll keep an eye on it, but they don't give a shit as well. Joseph Play says, I think Jamaica will be so proud of his team. I don't think they will, because I don't think they know. Well, they'll be proud of them that they're there, but I don't think they'll be proud of them in regards to the scores, because they won't really understand that 50-2 belting they got by Ireland wasn't actually as bad as they're going to get belted by. Bright Robert says, 100-metre World Cup, they'll be up the top. They'll be up the top, man. They'll be up the top. Salios of West Indies have been shocking recently, sadly. Well, hopefully this is a point of interest now. We can be like, okay, we'll get some support behind Rugby League in Jamaica. And then who cares about the West Indies, because you're killing it right now. You're killing it in this sport. You know, but obviously they're not killing it in this sport. But it's sad that Dom Young didn't play for him, but in the same sense, you're only as good as your halves when you're a winger. You're only as good as your inside man. NC Vlog email says, Italy for the win. Good luck, man. Good luck. Good luck. They had a good game, though. They did look nice, but they looked nice. But they're not any nice against any big teams. They beat Scotland. Stalio says, I think the World Cup is on cool. Probably sums it up exactly going off what you have described. Sammy says, Jamaica even have their own theme song, literally called the Reggae Warriors. Mate, they're vibing, mate. You know, they're vibing. They're vibing. There's a few foxes around in Jamaica. Mate, get around it. But all right, let's move on to the next one here, which is going to be Lebanon. Okay. Now, a couple of things we need to say about Lebanon is that there are people in Lebanon who care, but the vast majority of support for Lebanon do come from Australia. And it does come from the inner Western Sydney areas, Western Sydney. The large contingent of the Lebanese support does come in Australia. However, the people who do watch the sport, and there are still a decent amount in Lebanon who get around it, I would say are maybe here or maybe here. It's one of these two. I'm pretty happy to go here. I'm pretty happy to go. Oh, this is a hard one. It's here or here. The people who do care about it, and there is a decent amount of people who do care about Lebanon, I'd put there. But I do. You know what? I'm gonna go here actually. I'm actually going to put it below Fiji because when they played Malta in a high area, Bankstown this year, that's a high Lebanese area. That's why Bulldogs fans, majority Lebanese. It wasn't that great of a crowd. It wasn't that expensive. I think that Jeremiah said I think for the bottom tier a lot wouldn't even know what was happening. Well, that's the whole point. Oh, you're saying Lebanon? No. But you're right. Not a great deal would know what's happening, but in the same sense, there is still a very decent amount of people who do support it. There's no way you can put them here, bro. There's no way you can put them down there. That'd be disrespectful. They're in Wolverhampton Island scores, and their country also does have somewhat of a care factor for it. They don't really have a pure sporting fandom in Lebanon for many sports, really. I think that this rugby league might be one of the bigger ones, to be honest with you. Lebanon in Sydney are what Polynesians are in Auckland. Or the Gold Coast, yeah. Joey Tiger says, I care. Well, that's the thing. This is the thing, man. You've got to remember that there is every single team here, even some people in Italy would go die for the country, right? Even some people in Ireland would do it. But obviously, this is more of a consensus and, an idea about the teams as a whole. Big Shack says, it ultimately depends on how you interpret the discrepancy of the majority of their fans coming from Australia. It's a very tough list to do this. It really is. It really is. Because if this was a FIFA World Cup tier list, it'd be very easy. But with Rugby League, it's tough because a lot of the support does still come from like factions in Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane and the likes of Australia. In comparison to FIFA World Cup, where it is actually their countries. Star Leos is pretty sure they have support their country too. They do. That's why I've got them here. I think it's still below Fiji though. I do think it's below Fiji. Dabo Goose says, I think it's one of the sports they're better at compared to anything else. Yeah, I don't think there's really a great sport besides Rugby League. And they played well the other night against New Zealand too. They did. Dabo Goose says, the government back to national competition with the university, so there is some interest there. There definitely is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that I'm happy to put them here. And I think that eventually, within 10, 15, 20 years' time, bang, right there. I think they could even go to here eventually. I really do. I think that it is a massive potential in Lebanon for people to really get behind the sport they're actually quite decent at. But for now, we'll put them in, we'll keep an eye on the scores, and just below on Fiji, they do care, but not more than like Australia and some of the teams we're about to see above here. But we'll move on now, I think, to the next one, which is going to be New Zealand. And these guys will go here. They're not going to go and die for the country. And when it comes to rugby union, they'll go for die for the country. But when it comes to league, they're not more passionate about league than Australia, but they're definitely more passionate about league than the likes of Fiji, Lebanon, Cook Islands, England, and whatnot, because they're still a very good team. They are definitely a crazy for rugby league nation. They'll sell you a story that they don't give a shit because their team's not great, but there is still a large audience who do care about the Warriors, and they're just upset that their team is so shit. I know I'm a Titans fan, I know how it feels. But then again, the Warriors have done it for a longer time. They've never won a spoon, which actually kind of is worse because that means they've never done anything, right? Like they've never done anything, which is hard to imagine. And then you go to the international team, which won the World Cup in 2008. Besides that, haven't really done too much. I think they won the Four Nations or Tri-Nations or whatever it was. Four Nations back in, 2012 or something like that. But besides that, they've not really done much at all. So people do care about it. They will watch the Kiwis. They are crazy for their rugby league, but it's not as crazy as Union, which would be here. William Mitchie says in New Zealand, South Auckland will be second tier. The rest of New Zealand will be fourth tier. Yeah, that's a good shout. I think that's unfair. I think that it would be at least here. I think that New Zealand would be more so. to answer that question there, in regards to the south section compared to the north section, I'd say New Zealand would still be in the we'll keep an eye on the scores. I still think people would give a shit enough to look at the scores, and I think more so than the south of England. So I think that would be unfair to put them down here. But I think that overall, a large majority, the north, maybe we can put them up here. Would you guys think that maybe we'll keep an eye on the scores as a top part? It's not going down here. If it was there, it's just because of the south area, the South Island, whatnot. But in regards to Auckland and the likes, you'd probably be putting it up here. Forward Nation, I forgot that was the thing. It hasn't happened for a while, does. Peter Staten says New Zealand will keep an eye on scores, and if they get into the final win, they will be in the crazy tier. Yeah, exactly right. It comes down to the success of the team. You're absolutely spot on there. Propeller's the second tier. Damon said, that's right. Someone says Kiwis are pretty good as always, despite an average lone club in the team in the NRL. Shocking team, though. Brian Roberts says, mate, if the Warriors were good, their support would grow dramatically. If the Warriors were good, bang. Just throw it out there. Like, there's a lot of bandwagoners. It is. It's like, if the Warriors were any good, they would be there. Like, let's be honest, lads. Let's look at 2011, for example. Their team got into the grand final, and every New Zealander was a die-hard Warriors fan. Now you couldn't spot a Warriors fan. So that should go to Southern Kiwis care more than Southern English. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. New Zealand mainly fair weather supporters. Oh, Peter. Oh boy, you know it. You know it, son. 2011 Warriors. Man, they were peaking. All the Warriors were all up them. Getting out there. Unfortunately, lost the grand final to Manly, but overall, it was a decent vibe around the time. So I'm happy to put them at the bottom of here because I think it does even out. I think it evens out between South Island, New Zealand here. It's not below England. South Island, New Zealand here, and bandwagon New Zealand here, but majority would be here. That's what I'll go. Parents, did everyone forget about Tonga? Bro, Tonga's right here, bro. Guys, there's still 5 teams to go here. No one's forgotten about nobody. Like, we've got Papua New Guinea, Tonga, Wales, Samoa, and Scotland to still go here. Relax. Settle down, man. Don't stress, man. Gee whiz. You see how there's no one up here yet? It's because we haven't done anyone yet. Boy, oh boy. Yasuka says PNG fans treat rugby like a religion. Love to see the passion. Yeah, we'll get into it in a second. We've got PNG next. We'll stick on New Zealand for a little bit here, but then we'll get on to the next one. Floormat says, I think most of Australia doesn't really care about the World Cup, but are definitely the most passionate for the NRL and State of Origin, whereas Pacific Island nations, this is their biggest event. I think that you'd be more so right if this was in... I think you're more so right this second because it's in England, right? But I think that if this was in Australia, it would be very different, which is what it normally is. Because the time zone is really difficult to rate these two teams as well, because most people here aren't going to get up, they'll watch the scores. Unlike us, who we will be here for Papua New Guinea vs Tonga, guys. Be here at 4 a.m. We're going to be right here chatting away with you guys watching that game. But Australian and Kiwis, they're very difficult. And Fiji's as well. The Southern Hemisphere teams, it's super tough. This is why it's funny that all the Northern Hemisphere teams are down here. That's why we shouldn't really have it up there, and especially not France in 2025, because no one up there gives a shit. So why are you taking the World Cup to a place where Australia, New Zealand, Samoa, Tonga, Papua New Guinea, Fiji have to get up at shit times to watch a sport they love in comparison to the Northern Hemisphere where they don't love it? Like, put it in the Northern Hemisphere at a good time zone. It is what it is. My personal opinion. Angus Smuffy says, relax, settle down, man. Gee whiz. Kids these days ain't no respect. It's not like you can see Tonga on the list still to go here. Like, you can literally see it. I see the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new around here. Starlia says New Zealand, there's definitely some weird middle ground between those two tiers, so putting them on bottom of second tier or top of the middle would make some sense either way. Absolutely. Alright guys, let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to a big one here. This is a really big one, and it's very obvious where Papua New Guinea is going to go. They're going to die for their country. I am obsessed with this country in rugby league. I think they've got a great shout of pulling up an upset tomorrow. I don't think it happens, but I think there's a great shout of an upset tomorrow. Papua New Guineans literally do die for their country, right? People on my streams tell me all the time that there is a lot of heavy violence if this team loses. And also, secondly, it's just so passionate a country. What else is there really to get crazily passionate about up there in Papua New Guinea? Rugby league is something that they've always been a big supporter of. Actually, Papua New Guinea were the original best team back in like the 80s, 70s, 60s. They were really good in the Pacific. They were the best team in the Pacific by a long way. Up until, Fiji started to progress. And then Tonga and Samoa are only very recent, guys. Very, very recent. Papua New Guinea have been up there. They've done it for a very long time. I love what they provide. I love the passion they show. They run the ball hard. They don't give a shit about their bodies. And they just put in an effort. And this is why I say, all the talent in the world, when they go up against Papua New Guinea, the passion comes out. And that's why I still give Papua New Guinea a chance. A 13-1 odds tomorrow, guys, to actually overturn it. Or plus 26.5, which is a ridiculous handicap. I think that there is an opportunity for Tonga to still win by a decent amount. But if you're going by talent, yes. But if you're going by, these two teams and the history that has shown, Papua New Guinea have a big boiler potential for tomorrow. This team, amazing, love their fans. They literally do die for their country. And it's going to be hard to knock them off the top spot. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be really hard. And rugby league is their national sport. I think it's the only country in the world where their national sport is rugby league. I'm pretty certain that Papua New Guinea is the only sport in the world where their number one sport and their national sport is rugby league. Okay, Big Shaq says easily top tier. McKenzie straight to the top. Absolutely. Pellets are watching on Foxtel. Yusuka says, yeah, heaps of deaths during Origin. Heaps of deaths during Origin. That's not what we're going to hear. And I will say this for the Papua New Guineans in the chat, right? This is why we're not too keen on having Papua New Guinea in the NRL, because the tourism factor. Obviously, Papua New Guinea isn't exactly, and with all due respect, isn't the safest area in Port Moresby. We actually saw a team this year who didn't want to travel there because of the issues going on in Port Moresby right now. I think it was in the Queensland Cup. They didn't want to travel there. I don't know how that went. I don't know what ended up there. I didn't pay too much attention to it. But this is the reason why it's nerve-wracking, because I would love Papua New Guinea to have a team. They've had a Queensland Cup team for so long. I'd so desperately love to have Papua New Guinea bring a team in, they'd sell out their crowd, it'd be just amazing. But it's about the tourism factor and about the safety of players and safety of fans coming to the game, that they're not going to be, there's not going to be any violence there. This is what is holding your country back from being able to have a team in the NRL. So I would love Papua New Guinea to be there, but you just need to really settle in and sort this tourism factor out, because a lot of the people who do go there, they're staying within hotels that obviously have a lot of security and stuff, and that's not acceptable for a team, for a team to be there and putting spectators and whatnot at risk. And this is why they're definitely in die for their country. What I'm saying here is all about die for their country. Although it might be not the most fantastic thing to hear, it is the truth too. Sasha Kelly says, PNG live and breathe this sport. They'll do anything to see major success for the Kumals. So will I. I want to see major success for the Kumals. And apparently the NRL website is the most searched website in Papua New Guinea, and that just shows their love. Absolutely. And then they're actually super underrated in regards to their love for the sport. Everyone directly looks at Tonga, which we'll get into in a second, but Papua New Guinea don't really get the undeniable credit, but they really should. They really should. But I guess that's because you don't really get to see... Papua New Guinea is not the most wealthy country in the world, and neither is Tonga, to be fair, but a lot of Tongans are already, obviously, in Australia. There's a larger contingent of Tongans, I guess, in Sydney and Queensland and the likes, right? So I guess you can see in New Zealand, specifically, comparatively to PNG, who wouldn't have that same kind of support elsewhere, but when it comes to their country, it's a different breed. So since the PNG would die for their country as expected, not only Tonga. Yeah, I think we all know that Tonga's going to be in this tier as well. We'll just see who goes top, though. We'll see, because it's not easy. Angus Murphy says, won't be surprised if Kumals get up and I'm a Tongan. Going to be a brutal game. Going to be a brutal game. Brutal game. But David Fair to come off the bench is going to be huge. That's going to be huge. What says, no, the 1995 Tongan team nearly beat the Kiwis. Yeah, but they were really average for a long time too. Let's not lie. But I know what you're saying. But yes, they were also really average for a long time. Jared Ford says, Papua New Guinea hard. Elizabeth Phillips says, so accurate about PNG, it is our national sport. Absolutely. What says, Tonga have been the sleeping giants of rugby league. Yeah, they're definitely coming out more into it now. But in the same sense, we've definitely got to remember kind of their growth into it. Big Copper says, reminds me of the strategy FIFA did with taking the Football World Cup to the USA in the 90s, even though no one gives a shit outside their own sports. Was a bold move. MLS, although okay, is still not NFL, etc. Well, we took the Rugby League World Cup to Papua New Guinea in 2017, and this is where people started to see the kind of support that Papua New Guinea has for this game. You saw the stadium sold out. You saw the building. People were climbing on the building to watch it, watching in the trees. People do this for Fiji as well, in watching from the trees at Latoka and whatnot. And Suva, I don't think there is many trees around Suva that you can actually climb up to watch. But yeah, it just shows that they are willing to go the extra step to be able to just get a glimpse of Jason Olam, who, by the way, in that country is a god. He's a god. He is a god. Yasuki says, way better than 10 years ago, Death's making progress. Absolutely. PNG fans often have serious ego issues, but at least not all of them are bad, especially during Origin time. There is a large ego thing, which is weird to me. It is weird, strange to me. Sometimes, I remember when the Fiji played Papua New Guinea on stream this year, and I was streaming it, and it's like, obviously I love Fiji, but I was being very non-biased. Like, I love PNG. I love Papua New Guinea, and I was actually saying how good Papua New Guinea were, but we had like Papua New Guineans come into the chat and like, this is an island attitude though. Fiji does it, Papua New Guinea do it, Samoa, Tonga, everyone does it, right? Where it really is about being better than somebody else, because most don't have much. They want to be better than somebody else, so they get that ego thing. It's not just a Papua New Guinea thing. It is a Fiji, so it's an islander thing that really just kind of really comes out. I've grown up in Fiji. I know what it's all about, but the thing is that it's really strange because we have so much love for Papua New Guinea. We want for them to win, but I can also tell you they will make sure you remember who the champions are when they do it, if they do it. Mate, the amount of PNG fans that support PNG NRL players is so immense that they instantly flood the Storm Facebook comments. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Xavier Coates. I think a good backline. Xavier Coates, Alex Johnston, Justin Olam. Who's the other one? Nene McDonald's as well. I think he's in Super League now, though. Eric Roos says, Papua New Guineans love rugby league the way Indians love cricket, Brazil, Argentina love football. I like that. That's a great comparison. That's a really good comparison, to be honest with you. That's a great comparison. Elizabeth Phillips says, trust me, everyone's going to be up at 4 a.m. to watch Kummels. Like I said, Elizabeth, I'll be right here watching with you guys. I'll be right here watching with you guys on the channel. So definitely be here. If you've got a TV, put the TV on and have me as an interactive commentary because we'll be talking, getting hype, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm Fanbases in South Auckland right now. Tonga fans are parading the streets. Enough said. We'll get to Tonga in a second, guys. Well, just be patient, man. Just relax. Just whiz, man. Dear me. Boy, oh boy, if you don't hit the thumbs up button, I'm not doing Tonga. How about that? Guys, Tonga's coming. We're going to get the Tonga. Yasuki says, don't pay attention. Our education levels are low back home in PNG. Most people commenting haven't graduated year 3. Oh, shit. Well, there's an insult. Jay Sandwatch says, do you know that 70% of the 9 million people in Papua New Guinea will watch the game tomorrow? I reckon it'll be more. I disagree with you. I reckon it'll be more. Big Shack says, PNG's backs have got Tonga's backs. If they can win the physical battle, they got a chance. I keep saying this. I do keep saying this. Lolo Kappa says, PNG population 9 million, Tonga fans 100,000 plus. So if we're talking, geez, Papua New Guinea and Tonga, they're going to create a rivalry here. They're going to create look at the chat going. Like, people are going for, people are saying, buddy, Tonga, 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 and people are saying Papua New Guinea, Papua New Guinea, Papua New Guinea. There might be a rivalry here between how passionate these two teams are. It's going to be crazy tomorrow. It's going to be crazy tomorrow. Yeshua says, come on, no way, Samoa's not making top 2. Oh boy, no. We'll get into them in 1 second. We'll do a couple more comments, then we'll get into it. It should be relaxed, man. It should be relaxed, man. Just settle down, bucko. Just settle down. McKenna says there's an Esplanade in PNG that's putting a massive screen out at 4:30 a.m. Wow. Alright guys, well let's move on now because we're getting some impatient people who can't handle it. We've still got 3 to go until Tonga, right? We will get there, okay? We will get there. Don't worry. Just thumbs up, subscribe, and settle down. But Samoa here. Now, one is the Samoan is with the yellow column. The only sport when they win and they turn on them when they lose. Oh, I don't want to do this one, eh? They're not top 2. They're not top of their country, lad. This is probably the hardest one of the lot. Because then, I'm sorry, bro, they're not up here. They're not. I think they're probably more than Kiwis. They might be here. It's between these two, right? It's between these two. The problem with Samoa is they're not their fans. The fans aren't the problem. The problem is the players. The players have always been the problem. And the organisation. The organisation is... I'll leave it there for now. I might change it. The organisation... So if we're talking about fan base, there's a problem here. The organisation is corrupt, I believe, because there's no way that Matt Parrish should have got the job, and there's no way that Matt Parrish should still be in the job, but I also believe that there is a knowledge that apparently they haven't paid him money that he is owed, which is fair enough to him. Fair enough to him. He's a horrible coach. He should never have been selected, but, cool. He's got selected now, and they can't get rid of him because he's got him by the balls in regards to finances. This team has a great amount of supporters who love this team and die for this team, but there is also a lot of people who are here, and there are also people who are here, and the reason why they're here is because their team loses 60-6 to England in a game that they were favourites in. Well, I didn't think they were favourites. I thought England should have been the favourites. But Samoans do care about rugby league. They're not on the same level of Tonga here and die for their country, though. Let's be honest with you. They love it. They're crazy for it. But it's a little bit different because I think the lacking of trust is there with Samoa. I think there's a lot of lacking of trust that their team is going to do what they're telling you that they're going to do. I think this is the same thing with my Gold Coast Titans to it not working out for you. And Samoa is very similar in that sense. They definitely go crazy for their country. They definitely love their country. But it's not the dive for their country because they do have that lacking of trust, in my personal opinion. So, love Samoa. I'd put them overall bigger than Kangaroos and the Kiwis. But yeah, there's definitely issues that need to be sorted out in the country for the Samoans. Sport Reaction says Samoa fans would increase if they had more success. That's exactly what I'm saying. Big Papa says Samoa's tier 3 in my opinion. Fickle fans outnumbered by Tonga fans in the last games they had. Tonga's on another level though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could easily be any of these three here, Samoa. Where would you guys individually put them? Comment in the chat right now. If you want to comment in the chat and you're not subscribed, guys, all you have to do is subscribe. It's free. Refresh the stream and then get into the chat. But where would you put Samoa here? They're not going to be tier 3. They're not going to be tier 3. But they're definitely they're not up here either. They're here somewhere. Where would you put them? Above Australia, above New Zealand, or below New Zealand? I personally think maybe there overall. Or maybe here. Maybe here. A smaller nation breeds probably a bigger audience, though, in regards to caring more as a consensus rather than Australia, who has 2 states specifically, realistically. Big Ben says, I'm Samoan and I know we're 3rd tier best. We aren't as passionate. Oh, there we go. Star Leo says, I'll start laughing. You take like 3 seconds on Tonga once you get there and move on to Wales. 6-8 says, Samoa making quarterfinals easy. Luana says yellow. Speed Sui says Samoa fans go crazy when we do the Civatao. Dad Goose, I think Samoa will get there when their performances come. Absolutely. Yeah, Suki says, I wish Samoa had the Johns brothers as coaches. I think when they get more confidence with Johns brothers being there for next World Cup, they might go here. I think that this entirely depends on success. It won't go by PNG ever. But I think this entirely depends on success. Because Samoa as a whole, in regards to most sports, have actually gone downhill. Rugby union, they used to be very good at. Not doing any good anymore. Rugby league used to be, probably actually never changed. They've always been kind of at this plateaued level of decent, but not too quality. Sevens has been probably their best competitively for a while now. I'd say Sevens has been their best, but I wouldn't say that they're obsessed with Sevens. It used to be union. I think they care more about league than union nowadays. But in the same sense, some Samoans here are telling me otherwise. Brendan Westing says, after the other night, Samoa as a team are well and truly overrated. Jeez. Sasha Kells says, Matt Parrish is crazy for Samoa Rugby League. Speed Sui says, Jerome Lua played harder for Samoa than Origin. I don't agree with that one. Ben says, I reckon the Aussies are more passionate than us for league. Well, yeah, I think we can maybe chuck him here. I think one says, very true, Tonga parades every loss. Don't start me on the bloody what they did the other day, with that last World Cup. Nui for guys says their players only came this World Cup. McKenna says Samoa behind Kangaroos, in my opinion. They're waiting for a stronger team when they should be backing their current team. Yeah, a lot of people are saying above New Zealand, below Australia. Yeah, Alex is below Australia, above New Zealand, below New Zealand. No, most people are saying above New Zealand, below Australia. I think that's fair. Big Shaq says losing 60-6 isn't the best for their fan base's morale. At the moment, I'll put them below Australia and New Zealand. Exactly right. So, I agree. But I don't think we should look too much into the 60-6, even though it does have a major impact on regards to how much this fan base does give a shit about the sport. So, I'll chuck him in there. I think it's a rough one, but it is what it is. Sasha Gell's a sandwich in the middle between Oz and New Zealand. Starlers is above New Zealand because greater proportion of the audience care. Trash talking is part of the culture in PNG. You have to be thick-skinned in PNG. Oh, I know, Theophilus. As a streamer, mate, my life is dealing with Muppets. Trust me when I say that. as a streamer on YouTube, mate, I have to deal with a lot of banter. And I bite into it. I start it half the time. Someone says that England hiding pretty much gave Samoa a dose of reality thanks to the media hype. Joseph says Samoa don't support unless they got their strong team. Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. We did win the PNC for Union, our Pacific Nations Cup. Very proud of the Union side. Yeah, but do people really give as much of a shit anymore as they used to about Union? I think Samoa definitely used to care a lot more about rugby union, but they just don't as much anymore. Speed so he says, are you Samoan pronouncing it good? No, I used to work with a Samoan. I used to know quite a few of them. But I've been insulted a couple of times in recent days for not saying it correctly, and then some people saying I say it really well. But I do my best, man. I do my best. Samoa between Australia and New Zealand. Yeah, we'll go there, Cedric. Clone Commander says, Tonga and Samoa are all league now. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's why I'm happy to put them here. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably put them down here with Fiji, maybe above Fiji. But because they are pretty much all league now, because of the implementation of the NRL players on a bigger level, I'd definitely put them there, yeah. Right, one more and then we'll get to the next one. Starlers, there was a period back in like 2011 when Samoa beat Australia in Union. That was probably peak care for Union Samoa. Yeah, there you go. Alright, let's move on to... You know what, guys? This is not... I'm not joking here. We're going to do this here so that we can get rid of these two, because these two are going to be quite quick. We've got Scotland and Wales here. Scotland, I think, maybe would be... Scotland might be below Italy, or it could be below Italy, could be just below Jamaica. But I think I'm thinking rugby union. I think this could be even worse. I think maybe above Ireland. I'll put them there. I'm going to put Scotland above Ireland, below Italy. I don't think they really care. I think that union-wise, like they don't really give too much of a shit about union either, to be completely honest with you. Like, if it comes to football, then football they care about. Their team's shite, but like they still care about football. I think that with union you'd probably put it maybe here, maybe. But with league, I'm probably going to put them here. Yeah. What about us is a good idea to say the best for last? It might be controversial. Dab Goose, I think Scotland and Wales both bottom. Big Shakes as a union teams, so both Scots and Welsh are much better. Yeah, well, Wales, their number one sport. Their national sport is actually union. Funnily enough. Clone Command says Wales is the bottom. In league, there's a chance. In union, absolutely not. But in league, there is a chance. We're not at Wales just yet. We're at Scotland still. Even for union, it isn't that widespread. Would be quite low for league. I reckon Jamaica are starting to care. That's what I'm saying. They're starting to, but that's only because it's their first World Cup. Yeah, I think that's all we need to say about Scotland. I don't think they really give too much of a shit, but they're probably more care factor than these two, but Greece will eventually go up to here. Eventually. I think that there is definitely a market for Greece to be good at rugby league, especially with the way they played this morning as well. Wales, I'm going to put in a similar level. I think maybe you'd probably put them a little bit higher, though. Maybe you'd probably put them here. But they're definitely something that could not care less level. The rugby lads have lost weight. Yeah, that's exactly right, Sebastian. You know, the rugby lads, they've lost weight. Because most people, if they do care about anything, Wales and Union would be here. Wales and Union, they really do care. Clone Commander, tell me why Wales couldn't care less. Well, what's their support? I haven't seen their support. Who's the support? Why everyone else is saying Wales could not care less, but you're saying that they're in something above. So what? You put them on here? So you think that the majority of Wales right now is paying attention to this World Cup, are they? That's my question to you. I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying, like, do you think that Wales right now, as a collective, are understanding the World Cup is on and supporting Wales in some fashion more than what Italy or Scotland would do? Because I would have them here. Sammy Suda says Wales definitely couldn't care less. Clone Commander says Wales actually has a decent league following the last World Cup. 45. Something just happened. Epa Tonga says, I'm from America, never been a fan of rugby league till Tonga did well. I speak for a lot of Tongans abroad. We support Tonga from everywhere. Oh, I know Epa Tonga. We'll get to them in a second. We've got Tonga next up. We're still talking about Wales and Scotland here. I just want to see why Clone Commander thinks that that Wales are above. It could not care less. Wales actually has a decent league following the last World Cup. 45k. Went to Cardiff. Wales is the only team that has a homegrown players other than England, France, New Zealand, and Australia. Oh, okay, let's just pretend like the guys... What do you mean not homegrown players in Australia? All of Australia's players are homegrown. They're all born... Most of them are born and raised in Australia in the NRL. What are you talking about? What? The main sport in all the guys who are playing for Australia are playing in the Australian tournaments and are homegrown through Queensland New South Wales Cup. What are you talking about? Sorry. That makes no sense. Sorry. Wales and their homegrown players talk. How's that doing for Wales Rugby Union League? Chef says Tonga behind PNG. Theophilus says, yes, it's more popular on the coast and the highlands. Oh, they're talking about PNG still. I'm just trying to figure out what that even means. Like, what do you mean that they're not homegrown in Australia? That makes no sense. They all play... Most of them are born in Australia, for one. Most of them grew up in Australia their entire life. They've only got the heritage and culture from their family, who their parents might have been from Samoa or Tonga or Fiji and the likes. It's not... I don't think you know what you're talking about in regards to that one, bro. Clone Commander says, I'm saying that Wales has players that were born in Wales. Also, I'm not saying Australia doesn't have homegrown players. That's what I'm saying. I was confused. I was confused. Anyway, that is what it is. So, okay, well, what are we going to do here, guys? Where are we putting them? Are we putting them here? Or what are we doing? I'm not putting them up here. If you think I'm putting them in, we'll keep an eye on the scores. I'm not doing it. I'd be happy maybe to put them here. I'd be happy maybe to put them here. Because as a general collective, I don't think that a great deal of people truly give a shit. But maybe most of them might be like, World Cup is on, cool. Maybe. Maybe below Jamaica. They're in front of Jamaica. I think there's an opening here, though, and I think there are a lot of people who are starting to open their eyes to it. I'm going to put them here. You might disagree with me, Clone Commander. You can put them up there. You can put them here, or you like. You can put them there. I'm going to personally put them here because there's a lot of people who disagree with you and put them in the bottom tier. I would personally put them here, but you've also made somewhat of a point. They've got some form of audience, but I do think that this is a growing audience, and I think that they're carrying this World Cup because it's obviously their first World Cup, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can produce. So I'm going to put them here. People are going to disagree with this one. It's relatively controversial, but I'll put it there. Sebastian says Wales couldn't give a shit, bottom tier. I agree, but we've got people here making arguments for the fact that they apparently do care. But alright, let's get on to Tonga here. You happy? We're Tonga, lads. You happy? We got to Tonga. Now hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe when you're anti. This is the last one here before obviously we'll jump off, but we will be here for the Tonga Papua New Guinea game in the morning. Now, either way here, I lose. Right? Because if I put them here, Papua New Guinea if I put them there, Papua New Guinea fans hate me, right? If I put them there, then Tonga fans hate me, right? So I'm going to put... we'll leave it there for the time being, because I just took it out. I didn't mean to do that. So I'm just going to swap them in between for the time being, so you guys don't know what I'm talking about, or what I'm doing yet. I think that Tonga are an exceptional country in regards to what they provide for the game of rugby league. I do think that they are a much newer fan base than Papua New Guinea, however. I think that their care factor has grown a lot more in recent years, due to the fact that their team has become a lot more successful. Tonga have fans supporting from all over the country and all over the world. They are definitely in die for their country because Mata Ma'a Tonga literally means die for Tonga, right? Literally means that. I think that it's a difficult one here because it really comes down to perspective. I personally would put it like this. I personally would, because I think that these guys in Papua New Guinea, it really is more of a life or death matter. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think that it is literally more physically violent if their team is not doing well. But I think that with Tonga, they will go out to any game. They'll support their team. Tomorrow you'll see a massive Tongan audience more than likely. The Red Wall, we all know it. I think that Tonga are definitely one of the best in the world, and they definitely could go to here. But I think that it's still very early in regards to the overall support of this country. I think they're still really finding their foot. If this team actually does win or gets to the final this year, it's going to be amazing. But you've also got to remember that this is at a time zone in England that is really unfortunate. If it was in Australia right now, it would be just absolutely massive. But unfortunately, it is in England, so people will still get up and watch it though. And these two teams here, everyone's going to be out watching in the morning, right? Everyone will be out watching in the morning. It'll be huge. So that's why I'm so interested to see what happens tomorrow morning. But personally, on my own personal level, I still do have Papua New Guinea as the top there in regards to fan bases. But it's a bit of a wash. It really is. It just comes down to these guys are probably going to kill each other for it. These guys are probably more vocal. I'd say that Tongans are more vocal than Papua New Guinea. If you're talking about vocalising your support, I'd say Tonga's here, Papua New Guinea's there. But I think in regards to just general support of the teams, I'd put Tonga there and Papua New Guinea there. Clone Commander said the King of Tonga honoured all the players after the 2017 World Cup. Yep. Yasugi says, Tonga top tier just behind PNG, but the fan base is rapidly growing. That's what I'm saying. It's still fresh. It's still new. Tonga are improving. They're coming further. They are doing well here. It's only the start, though, because they only really started to come out once Andrew Feeder and Jason Tamalolo made that switch to Tonga and brought them into a top tier country. They're not tier 1 country yet. I think they're tier 2, even though realistically they actually were put to tier 1, but for some reason... don't worry. We've spoken about this before. I think it's effectively a tie here. I really do. I think it is a tie. So I can put them on top of each other. There you go, lads. There you go. This is what I would have there. I'd have them as a tie, but I still put it like that. Margaret says, Tonga fans behind PNG. Joseph says, hey, I live in Poland. I just found out what rugby was about a year ago, and Tonga is for sure my favourite team. Good stuff, man. Oh, well, Poland has their own team, but they're just obviously not great yet. They're not great. That's how the first thing, Tonga just makes it. Cedric says, 2 crazy teams playing tomorrow morning. Can't wait to watch, mate. Be right here, Cedric. I tell ya, be right here. It's going to get crazy in the chat. It's going to get crazy in the chat. Angus Murphy says, below Papua New Guinea for sure. Sport Reaction says, imagine if Papua New Guinea had the success of Tonga. Oh, bro. If Papua New Guinea made a final, oh, boy. It'd be insane. It would be insane. Their country would... So, if you guys know the NFL, right, when Philadelphia won their first Super Bowl back in 2017... they went nutso. They were riding ostriches through the streets. I'm not lying to you. If you listen to the police report, there were people riding ostriches through the main street of Philadelphia. People were burning buildings. People were going nuts. So the whole streets were lined with them. That was an NFL team in Philadelphia who was the first world country. If Papua New Guinea or Tonga won the World Cup, I'll tell you now, that country would be burned to the ground. Specifically this country, specifically that country. But like this, I would want to be into. I would not want to be in Papua New Guinea when they win the World Cup. I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to be at the World Cup. I would want to be in Tonga though when they won the World Cup. That would be a vibe, man. That Tongan vibe would be just insane. But for Papua New Guinea, a little bit dangerous. A little bit dangerous. I guess my this is below PNG for sure. I don't think it's for sure, but I'd put them there. Sport Racing says, imagine PNG had success with Tonga. Brendan Weston says, remember when Tonga beat Australia, all us Queenslanders turned around and blamed New South Wales for that loss because majority close to all that side was New South Wales-based players? Yes, but I will also say that that was effectively a friendly. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a bit of context that needs to go into that game. Sid Fieldmas Mafua said if Tongan fans had the money, the stadiums would be full of red. But then again, if Papua New Guinea fans had money, the stadiums would be full of Papua New Guineans. You know, it's the same argument. The reason why Tonga gets more fans is actually because Tongans have migrated a bit more and differently to Papua New Guineans. A lot of Papua New Guineans are still at home or North Queensland. Tonga have a large contingent in New South Wales and Sydney, have a large contingent in New Zealand, Gold Coast, Brisbane, the likes. So that's why you see more Tonga fans as well. But if Papua New Guineans had the ability and the opportunity, they would be just like Tonga in regards to that support that you can see. But if you go back to the 2017 World Cup, you saw what they provided. League surely is like religion in Papua New Guinea. It's got to be top, Salia says. Tonga fans are awesome, absolutely, Jared Troy. Clone Commander says, PNG is still above Tonga. People have literally died over there during league matches. Recently, in Origin, Queensland versus New South Wales has nothing to do with Papua New Guinea at all. Like, nothing to do with Papua New Guinea whatsoever. But people care so much about it that that there are deaths around it. There are deaths around Origin. And you can't be Papua New Guinea and play in Origin. I guess maybe Coates did, but in the same sense, you know. You can actually. You can be Papua New Guinea and play Origin because they're not a first-tier nation. So, yeah, you can actually. Samoa versus Samoa definitely have Australia, right? No, they're second. Well, they're just below Australia. We made this. You can go back after this, guys. The timestamps will be there. You can go and check out whatever team you want with a timestamp, but obviously you haven't done it just yet. We've spoken about it though. What does PNG have a Tonga because Tonga don't have a stadium in Tonga? Well, that's not a reason. That's not a reason. It just obviously means that there's not. I don't even know if there's size. I don't even know if there's a great size there for the ability to put a stadium. Cedric Cow says Tonga and PNG on top. PNG first, next Tonga. Cocomelon Rules says what makes the tiebreaker against PNG and Tonga lose? The tiebreaker is just the severity, is what I would say. The severity of their support. Like this, it literally says die for their country. I don't believe that Tongans are going out and because that island vibe is very different to Papua New Guinea's island vibe. There's a reason why the tourism factor is a nerve-wracking thing when it comes to wanting an NRL team there. QT says everyone low-key supports Tonga in some form. This is coming from a POM. Absolutely, I want to see him do well. Eric Aru says Papua New Guineans are not fair weather fans. I don't think anyone said that. They've shown to be the most consistent fan base over decades, regardless of how the Kumals perform. Shout out to Tonga too. Happy to see a growing fan base, passionate too. Yeah, exactly right. They have been the most consistent. They definitely have been. Jared Twist, the winner of tomorrow's game takes a prize. You could make that argument, but at the same time, it's very different. But yes, it's going to be crazy tomorrow. It's going to be crazy. Cocomelon Rules, if Tonga win the World Cup, the parades will go on for 10 years. Mate, if Tonga wins the World Cup, we're going to be hearing about it in 40 years' time. Clone Commander says, I've been to PNG when they haven't won a World Cup, still not a place you want to be. It's not. This is what I'm saying, guys, and this is why I keep saying to Papua New Guineans, I don't mean any disrespect when I say this. Please don't think that I'm insulting your country in any factor, in any form. I'm just telling the truth in regards to why there is issues in regards to having an NRL team there and why I've got severity issues here. Like, if I'm talking about severity, lads, like I'm going there, but it's different tops there, different tops. Theophilus says, just for the full disclaimer, the ones that kill each other over rugby league are from the Highlands, not the coast. It's about time the international community distinguished between the two groups in PNG. Okay, Theophilus, but I'm pretty... Port Moresby, is that on the coast or is that in the Highlands? I don't think it is on the Highlands, is it? I don't know. I'm not too sure about the geography of Papua New Guinea, so do forgive us. But obviously, yeah, not many people are necessarily looking at the geography of Papua New Guinea to distinguish this, but I do appreciate your response there. Commenting like that gives us extra context to explain this and say that. So that's why it's good that you comment that. Sal the First says, really need another team to win. New Zealand's got one, England's got a few. No, they don't. England's got none. That was not a professional tournament. England's never won a World Cup. Sorry. Jay Hayes says, I might... Oh, heaps of comments here. Theophilus says, you got it. Demi says, can we get a Mata Usi for the boys? Muppet. Daniel says, you should do a video on possible rugby league expansion. After hearing about all these different nations, I would love to hear your thoughts about which nations you think it will grow or decline. That's a good point. Rugby league expansion. Are you talking about in regards to NRL specifically, or are you talking about in regards to countries? I think you kind of just said countries, but if you're talking about NRL, we definitely could do a T ranking on which I think is most likely out of Perth, Adelaide, Papua New Guinea, Pacifica, New Zealand, and whatnot. But I don't think that would be as cool. Maybe we could do a tier list next week of countries that's growing in. But I guess we kind of speak about today. I don't know. We'll see what we feel like. We'll see how it goes. But actually, yeah, what countries can grow more? But we could put Greece up there more. Put Jamaica up there. Maybe we'll do it. We'll stick around for about 5-10 more minutes, guys, and then we'll jump off because I've got to get up early. Cologne Commander says they need to play a league match in Tonga for the fans over there. Is there a big enough stadium? No, I don't think they have a stadium. Like, they have a stadium in Fiji, in Suva. I don't think they even have a stadium really in Samoa. Between those two nations, like, Papua New Guinea have a stadium, Fiji have a stadium, but they're bigger than whatever the stadium it is in Tonga, I believe. Malcolm says, man, it's horrible we have to wait too long for new games. Cedric says, if PNG made it to the final, the whole nation will go crazy. Government, business houses, the county will have a 1-month celebration. All businesses will be closed for celebrations. Do you know why, Cedric? Because they would burn that place down out of excitement. It's not out of hate and vitriol. It's out of excitement. They would burn it down. Look at what happened in Philadelphia. If it happened in Detroit, I'm not going to Detroit for a month after that Super Bowl. I'm a Detroit Lions fan, right? If that happened in Detroit, that whole city would be burned to the ground because they're crazy for their excitement. But in Papua New Guinea, with the exact same. They close the businesses out of safety, mate. They close the businesses out of safety. Ben says, I do think the Kumals are more passionate enough to kill. I do prefer Tongan fans as a Samoan fan or a stadium and bred. This is what I'm saying. Very different supports here. Very, very different supports here. Salio says Tonga has like a glorifies park. Samoa has like something of a stadium for like 8K max or something like that. Alright, let's have a look here. I'll quickly go have a look here. Bang, let's do that. And then we'll go like this. Tonga Stadium capacity. Tonga Stadium capacity. Alright, let's move this back to here. So there's a stadium in Tonga called Tua Whaiva Sports Stadium in Nuku'alofa, which is 10,000, which is not terrible. It's not terrible. It's not terrible at all there. And then we'll go like that. And then we've got Samoa here, which is 3,500. So at least at Talofa, Joseph Sepp Blatter, football fields. Sepp Blatter. Isn't that the FIFA World Cup guy? FIFA guy who was very corrupt? I'm not sure. Maybe that's surely it's somewhat different there. But 3,500 is... Oh no, Apia Park. Well, why has it got that? Apia Park. Lawson Tama. There's a park here with 22,000 apparently. 22,000 capacity? No, that's the Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands have 22,000 capacity stadium. That's only 8,000 less, or 6,000 less than Seabus Super Stadium. I think that's more than Shark Park. Solomon Islands have a stadium that's bigger than Shark Park. That's unbelievable. Dennis says both NRL expansion and international. Like I recently saw the Super League is planning to scrap the regulation format. Do you think this will benefit the Super League and in turn England and France? So that's a good question. So I'm not going to do that on this stream. Obviously, it's not related to this stream, but I think I think that's a good topic. I think that is a pretty good topic there. Yeah, Sepp Blatter is the FIFA president that got done for corruption. Why is that Sepp Blatter Park? Why has Samoa got Sepp Blatter Park? Clothing Man says, surprised Solomon Islands aren't about league. They're sevens and football. They're sevens and football, but their sevens team is dreadful and their football team is dreadful. But their nations don't have a crazy big size. Population size. Solomons are all soccer. Yeah, exactly right. NTK Productions. Joshua Lawson says, but they're still pretty bad. Missed a bit of the stream, but I believe Southern France are very pro-rugby league, whereas the North are very much football, some union. So, like I said, guys, we will be putting out timestamps of each team that we spoke about here. So, after the stream finishes, you can go back and watch it. Yeah, what, 10,000 with an extra couple hundred on top of the roof. Ben says, Apia Park is very small. Yes, apparently we had enough money to blow on a tennis court that rusted into the ground. but not to expand our main park. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Some of the first seeders are also becoming quite passionate. Yeah, well, we spoke about that. We spoke about that. Somebody says Solomons have soccer as national sport like Vanuatu to cricket. Yeah, Vanuatu is still soccer as well. They are. They are. I understand their national sport is probably cricket, but in the same sense, our national sport is, I think, cricket as well, but not many would say that's our main sport, I guess. But yeah, bro, you're a version. Caleb Theophilus says Solomon Islands national sport is soccer. But yeah, I think that'll do us here for today, guys. I think we'll jump off for today. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Obviously, we'll be back at 4 a.m. in the morning for the Samoa versus not Samoa, gee whiz, for the Tonga versus Papua New Guinea game. Which should be great. I'm really looking forward to that one. Guys, we will be here at 4 a.m, which is half an hour before the game does start, to be chatting all things about the game. It's going to get hectic. It's going to get wild. I'm looking forward to it. And definitely hit that thumbs up button, guys. I appreciate you as usual. Obviously, subscribe if you are new around here. And yeah, I appreciate you. And I will put the timestamps for everyone. Oh, I just moved that around. I'll put the timestamps for everyone to go and see which team after the video. But alright, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.